Okay, so some of you have asked about creating a phone with curved edges at the top and the bottom, sort of like this Samsung Galaxy model here. The biggest tip I can recommend for that is to still model your phone with, especially where the edges where the details are, keeping everything completely flat like this. So all the edges should be vertical and horizontal until you've completely finished modeling your phone. So even if you're doing that curved Galaxy model, you might want to model it in this way, all the way through to having the speaker holes, the charging ports, the screws, and all the buttons and everything, doing all of that first, and then we can have a go at warping it later. The main reason is because, if you remember, when we were duplicating some of these faces for the holes, and trying to get this mesh and line it up for other parts of the phone, it's a lot easier to work with if we keep it completely flat, and then we're free to play around later on. So you should have gotten your phone to this stage, and then have obviously trying to follow the way that your particular phone is built, but again just keeping the top and bottom flat. And then if you want to curve it, select the whole phone, do Control D to duplicate just to be safe, or work from a new file. Then we need to go and combine it, so just go to Mesh, Combine, or click on the Combine button. Make sure you save your work before you combine as well, but center pivot as well, so that your new combined mesh has the center point at the middle. And I'll show you what happens. So what we're going to use is a soft select function with the move tool. So if we double click on our cursor, some of you may have seen this already you've probably clicked on the wrong button on the keyboard and activated this. But if you activate soft select and then go to like face mode or something, you can see the phone goes sort of yellow around your face and red and black further away. What this is telling us is we can press W in this mode and move this face around, and usually this face would sort of move with only the surrounding faces pulling up with it. Now you can get almost the entire geometry just to sort of bulge with it, which may or may not be what you need. So if you're working with mountains and stuff like that, you could obviously have a go at pulling things out of your geometry like that. But what we need to do is pull the top and the bottom of the phone out only. So what I'd recommend doing is, with soft select activated, just select a face somewhere near the middle, as close to the middle as you can get, to the top, to the bottom of your phone and the top of your phone. So I've selected the middle faces here, somewhere near the middle vertically, and that'll do it. And now if I just hit R to resize, again I've selected the top and the bottom so that this is symmetrical, and you can see you can pull your phone out like that. But the problem here is, because if I deselect, because there's not enough detail or not enough vertical edge loops, it's given the phone, it sort of goes curved where there's plenty of detail, it goes flat where there's not enough detail, and then curved again where there's detail at the top. And that's really not what we're going for. So what I would recommend doing is, before you start bulging your phone around like that, try and make sure that your mesh is detailed enough. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. The safest way is to, first of all, I've undid back to where all the edges are straight. I will go to add an edge loop tool. So I'm going to add some edge loops, remembering the mesh is combined at the moment. Let's just turn off soft select for a second. I'm just going to add a bunch of edge loops at the top. I might just press 1 so I can see the mesh quite clearly what's going on. And something like this should really be more than enough, especially since we're going to smooth preview it by pressing 3 later on. So obviously these edge loops don't go down the whole mesh because it's two separate pieces. So on the face, the top face, I'm going to again try and line up some other edge loops with this. Don't worry if they're not exactly dead on. Whoops. But if you try and roughly keep the same number, that should be great. Obviously there's some have stopped here where the speaker port is. I need to give that some more detail as well. And I mustn't forget as well, the underside of the phone is also going to need some love too. So I'll add some edges down there. Okay, so that's enough vertical edge loops now, I reckon, to work with. And most phones are only bulged at the top and the bottom, so we can have a go at just going into our top view. Sorry, select your faces first in 3D view. Let's just turn on soft select. I'm going to select, go to face, select this one here, and select this one here. I didn't need to add any more edge loops to the base of the phone because there's more than enough detail there to work with. Actually, I am going to just add a couple of edges just by those screws right there, just so they don't feel left out. Okay, this time face mode, and I'm just going to select that one there, and sort of lost the middle now, but somewhere around there that'll do. Okay, and for trying to find out what the ideal fall off radius is, ideally you're going to want to increase it so that when it comes to your corners, the top right hand corner is yellow going to orange, and then the very edge of the phone is actually getting red, which should just give it the right amount of pull so it doesn't distort or look like a tombstone or something like that. So for my phone, 4 or around about 4 seems to be the magic number. I'm going to click somewhere in the viewport in this empty area up here and hit R to resize, and I'm going to just pull those up, and you can see now at the top the curvature is much smoother. Yeah, that's much better looking, so I'm quite happy with that. The only problem is now it's incredibly long. Some of the new phones are, but I don't want to be quite like that, so I'm just going to hit 1 again, so the phone goes back to normal mode. I'm going to uncheck soft select, and I'm going to select some vertices and just pull the phone back down to normal size. When you do this, be very sure not to overlap or interrupt any edges like this. That's just watch out for that. So I'm just going to pull my phone down till it's about the right size again. So somewhere around there would be fine. And now you've just given your phone curved edges. Now, as I said at the beginning, one of the biggest reasons for doing it after you've created all your details and stuff is that it's easier to work with and model. At the beginning you haven't got to worry about all these crazy angles, and afterwards it does smooth them all out perfectly for you like this. So it's sort of taking a very long time to get right working at these crazy angles, so that's a much better way of doing it. And yes, some of these things are going to be distorted if your phone had really curved edges, but we actually won't notice that. So for me, that's the cleanest way of doing it. If you are struggling, like let's say your phone or for a different project you're working on, your geometry has so many different parts that it would take forever to add individual edge loops to it so that you are ready to smooth it like this. One trick is to use the cut faces tool. So if you go to mesh tools, cut faces tool, this is sort of like a samurai sword or fruit ninja or something. If you just click and drag and hold, you can see this line going across your screen, and it's going to cut the phone exactly there. So if this phone was cut by a samurai sword, let's say at this angle, it would swipe through like that. It's still hit 1, and it's still combined at the moment, but again, we could easily separate the phone along that line and sort of almost have it falling apart at that angle if you wanted. And it does go all the way around the entire mesh as well. One of the problems with this is, though, if you get too carried away and you don't really know what geometry you're intersecting, you're going to start to see that you've created some fairly bad geometry. So this face here now has 5 sides. Obviously you've got triangles popping up everywhere. And now also if you were to hit 3 to smooth your mesh, because you've got these random lines coming down into your mesh, these it no longer smooths properly. So watch out for that. So if you are ever going to use the cut faces tool, the best trick to do with that is to find an area that you know is pretty clean. So just hit 4. I can see there's no other geometry here, so I can hold down shift And if I use the cut faces tool while holding down shift, it just does it to perfect 45-degree angles, which is much better. And so you can just keep on adding, splitting your geometry that way if you feel like it. But hopefully that's answered a few questions on how to give a electronic device curved edges.